Welcome to Online Chats. Today we are with Stacey Caldwell, the Corporate Claims Manager at BBSI Nationwide. I've had the pleasure of working with Stacey and was at one of her events that she held at her corporate offices. Stacey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I thought we'd talk a little bit about your event and why you do it. So can you tell our listeners today about your event, and then we can talk about who you invite and why?
Sure. We did some major changes in our claims program about 3 years ago, and about a year into it, we decided that we really needed to get our defense attorneys together to hear about the changes, understand who we were as a company, and what we were trying to accomplish with our claims program. So we brought them all together. We had our first meeting in Sacramento in 2018. And it was a rousing success. We brought all of our attorneys from across the country to come hear the message about who we are as a company and what we were trying to do. And the other piece of that was I'm trying to build community around our program, and our defense attorney partners are a huge part of that. And it was a chance to meet some of them face to face for the first time, and also start the process of building the BBSI community.
Yeah, I was really impressed by the number of attendees that you had. I had the pleasure of speaking with my colleague, Drew Davis, and that was a full room, and it wasn't a small room. How many people would you anticipate you had come for that event?
We had about 85. That included not only attorneys, but our staff here in the Workers' Compensation Department here at BBSI, as well as yourself and Drew. And we also invited our TPA partner to participate in that meeting as well. And also our legal bill review partner came to that meeting. And they're a very important part of that meeting as well. So it's a nice group of people. A lot of firms bring more than one attorney. Anybody who's touching our files, they try to bring so they can all hear the message. And what we found is when they bring the other attorneys to the meeting, our message doesn't get diluted. They hear it directly from us about what we want and how we want to do things. It drives compliance with our litigation management guidelines and our billing guidelines. But more importantly, it helps us with the strategy around what we're doing with litigation management.
So what is your hopes when you bring your other service providers in? So you had, like you said, your bill review, but you also had us in, and we do your document retrieval. You had your court reporters in. So what is your goal for that? Is that a matter of making sure that everybody is utilizing the same company so you don't have leakage, cost control? What is your goal on that?
Yeah, really, anybody that does work with us, so Macro Pro, our court reporter, our TPA, you're part of the community, and you're an important part of the community. And I'm trying to build consistency on the program. So when we have relationships with other partners, it helps to bring consistency to the whole program, and for some price control as well. That's important. But more importantly, it just gives us a consistent product, and I think the consistent product helps us drive down costs.
And I think you also get to know your attorneys much better, so you know who's better for what file. Would you say that's one of the results of meeting with people?
It is, and you get a taste of their personality when you see them in person and how they might present. And that has been, I think, invaluable, and just being able to have conversations with them. It's kind of like a wedding reception that day that we have the meeting, because some of them are meeting you for the first time, or they're trying to get some FaceTime. And I actually try really hard to give everybody FaceTime because it helps me connect with them, and we may have a brief conversation about something that I can follow up with them on later after the meeting. But it's more about forming relationships and nurturing relationships that we already have.
What would you say is the most surprising outcome of bringing everybody together?
I think the biggest surprise, I guess, was the first year in how it drove compliance with billing. Um, it was amazing how quickly within a month and within 30 days and 60 days of that meeting, how quickly people complied with the billing guidelines. And it helped to have our bill review vendor there to explain what they're looking for when they're looking at the bills. And so the understanding of what was going on behind the scenes really helps drive compliance.
Yeah, I always, if you know something, you're able to comply with it, right? But if you don't know, you haven't seen, you haven't heard, but to be able to ask those questions, because your event is like a full day seminar, really. You get there in the
Yes,
morning, breakfast, everybody gets an opportunity to visit, to share. Then you guys have speakers.
we are pretty open with them about what's going on in our world and what we're trying to do. And I think that level of transparency and honesty, we get that back. We're not perfect. So it's good to sometimes understand, like, what are the things that we might be doing that are roadblocks for us in our litigation. And so it just fosters an openness and opens the lines of communication that really improves the product and improves our outcomes.
Yeah, so what I thought was interesting was to be able to talk to all these different attorneys from across the United States. They're working on your files and they were sharing ideas of what they were doing in different states. And that I thought was really great. One of the things you said that I thought was brilliant was you're not here. This is not a competition, right? We're a one defense team. And that really resonated with me when you're talking about building community. And I think it also helped set the bar for them and make them a little bit at ease, realizing that this isn't a job interview. I got the job, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we always tell them when they get there, you can relax. You made the cut. You're on the team. And it's a day about, education, community, building relationships. And really, try to remind them that they all have one thing in common, and that's BBSI.
Mhm.
So they can share strategies and ideas with each other in a forum that's friendly. And they can forget about being competitors for a minute. They can forget about marketing for a minute. They've sold me already. We don't need to have the sales pitch. You're not trying to sell me anything that day. You're just here to further our business relationship.
Well, I think it's a brilliant program. I really could see in that room how everybody was working towards one common good. Everybody understands that your first mission is to get and make the injured worker as whole as possible. We're always assuming that, that everything is being truthful. And I love the way that you do that because I think it's really important that we treat everybody with kindness. And I can see that the way that you ran that meeting, the way that you instructed your attorneys and service providers that you guys are definitely doing what is best for the injured worker while watching your bottom line. And I think that's brilliant. Well, we are actually at time. So I'd like to thank you so much, Stacey. And I'm hoping that
Thank you,
you
Diane.
stay safe, you stay virus free, and fingers crossed, we'll be up there in Vancouver shortly. Bye
All
bye.
right. Thank you so much, Diane. Bye-bye.